how to read the Bible when you're busy. So, like we said, we're both Christians. It's very important to us. Reading the Bible is a huge, important part about being Christian. And if you're curious about what Christians believe, you don't have to be a Christian to go ahead and read the Bible. If you're curious, go ahead and read it and see for yourself what it says. And I personally believe God will speak to you when you read His Word, if you're willing and you ask Him to do so. But there's no pressure on that either. If you just want to read it and see what it says for yourself, I encourage you to do so. You can get the free Bible app, YouVersion, or the library probably has a Bible. You can get inexpensive Bibles at your Christian bookstore. I'm not getting affiliates for selling Bibles.
But we can put the link to the version
Oh,
down
hey.
below if you guys do want to check it out. We're not sponsored by version.
No, but we could be. No, okay. Bible. So how to read the Bible when you're busy. So this is an issue that I think a lot of Christians face, where they understand the importance of the Bible conceptually. We understand that. And, we typically say it's a good idea to read your Bible every day. But I don't think that, I don't have stats. I should have looked up some stats on this, but I don't have stats. But, I don't think most Christians actually do read the Bible every day. I'm going to give you full disclosure. I don't read my Bible every day. I try to, but there are days where it just doesn't happen, and that's on me. But it's not something to feel guilty about, because I think a lot of people do feel guilty about it. I missed my Bible today. The Lord does not love me anymore. And it's that's not how it works. It's unconditional.
Yeah.
But even
I think there's multiple ways to read the Bible, not just physically reading it, which, can be quite helpful, I find, when you have a physical Bible and you're, have the time to sit down and think more deeply about it. But there's also ways to listen to the Bible on audio, or what other ways?
Well,
there's picture Bibles too.
If
you like to look at pictures.
If you're like me and you like graphic novels
or videos,
and comics,
yes, that's what I was thinking of. Videos.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's all kinds of things. There's a great YouTube channel, maybe we can link to that as well, called The Bible Project, that does all these really visual illustrations and explain the idea of certain books of the Bible. It's a great way to jump into it if you're not familiar with what a certain book of the Bible is about. It's a great way to jump in. But reading the Bible when you're busy, I
think for me personally, a lot of times, we get overwhelmed by the list of things that we have to do. But when you actually sit down and break down what you have to do, there's always little pockets of time. But for us, especially now in this culture, and I'm definitely guilty of this too, it's easier to just scroll your Instagram or go on TikTok, because those offer you instant dopamine bursts, I guess you would call it, where you're oh, I just saw a funny video. Oh, I just saw a goat. I don't know what sound they make, but I saw a goat baying and so forth. And that gives you instant gratification. Yeah. But when you actually look at, so for example, if you have an iPhone and stuff, you can actually see how much time you spend on your phone each day, and it breaks down into categories like entertainment and so forth and so forth. And so I was able to look back on my history and be oh my goodness, I spend 2 hours a day on entertainment, Instagram, etc. And when you look at that, it helps you put into perspective, no, I'm actually not that busy, because I could take even just a fraction of that time, 30 minutes or 15 minutes to read the Bible. But I think for me personally, it's harder to do so, because you actually have to pay attention and not just blindly scroll. But I think when you first start out, it is tough, and there's definitely seasons in your life where you're gonna be not necessarily reading the Bible every day, or reading it for less and so forth, but kind of recentering yourself and looking at your day from a holistic, is that a word to say?
Sure. Yeah.
Holistic perspective, where you're okay, well, maybe I'm just getting too overwhelmed by the number of things, but when you actually break down the number of things you have to do, it's not as time consuming as you think you were. So it's definitely hard, and you have to make a conscious effort to turn away from things that are easier to do. But things that are harder to do are not always, or things that are easier to do are not always best for you.
Yeah, and I think like you said, we're in a busy distraction-filled culture.
Yeah.
And I think it's also deceptively distracting because like you say, like sometimes we think we're so busy, but like if you actually took down a piece of paper or the notes app on your phone and you wrote down everything that you're going to do in the day or that you did in a day that felt really busy,
Yeah.
and then you actually plotted like, well, this is like how long it takes me, and then you're like, if you've ever done that, you suddenly start to realize like, why is it taking me so, why is my day like, this should have been done so much, like even if you're liberal with how long the times are to take to do a certain task, you're like, I should have more time than I do. But it's because 3 seconds go by, I gotta look at my phone.
Yeah.
3 seconds, like I can't like even think. And so for me, one of the things that I've done in a practical sense is I've tried to, like, my little nightstand next to the bed, like I put my physical paper Bible there. I'm not against digital Bibles. I'm not against digital things. So yeah, like we're not saying that like social media and the internet and all that is bad. Like we're right here making a video that you're going to view on social media and on the internet and that kind of thing. And there's lots of great like content that that people can consume through the internet, through social media and that kind of thing too, right? Like so like these things are not inherently bad, but also it's just a fact that like when I pick up my paper Bible, the battery doesn't die. There's no notification that pops up, and I think that's a trap we get in. Our alarm goes from the beginning of the day. Our alarm goes off on our phone. So the first thing we do as we wake is what? We interact with our phone. We turn off the alarm, and then just like we don't even have to think about it. It's not even a thought. It's just I'm going to check my notifications, my messages.
Check my
there's
email.
this.
I'm gonna check my messages that John Doe sent me. I'm gonna
Exactly.
check my
John Doe.
Instagram, my TikTok. I gotta do a TikTok as I'm getting up from bed.
Yeah, it's like I woke up like this, Exactly. And then before you know it, it's like, oh my goodness, I've gotta eat breakfast.
3 hours later.
Exactly. And I've got to get breakfast. I've got to get off to work. These kinds of things. It's just like it's filled up so very quickly. So I've tried to put my physical paper Bible on my desk there and just try to make a habit of just like I turn off that alarm. And for you, if it's even harder, like you just can't, like as soon as you touch that phone, it's over. Maybe just go to your dollar store and get like an digital alarm clock where you can set an alarm that's not your phone and literally power your phone off. Because can I be honest with you? I think a lot of us have this thing in the back of our head, this excuse in the back of our head that like, what if someone needs to contact me? And what if there's an emergency? Honestly,
our alarm clocks reaching extinction.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, go the way of the phone booth. But like I think we don't have to worry about those emergencies. Honestly, it's what are you gonna do? Are you a firefighter? Are you EMS?
Okay.
Like,
well, if you are, then
if you are, sure. But if you're not, like, likely there's no emergency that you're gonna be able to like go rescue somebody with the phone. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, just turn your phone off if it's too much of an issue for you. But having the paper Bible there, picking it up, reading that first, honestly, it just resets the brain. It resets the brain for the day. So I find that super helpful. And if you like, the Bible app is a great thing too. You found that experience yourself personally, right? You've really leaned into the Bible app, right? Because I think it enlists,
offers like reading plans too that kind of groups together topics. So, like somebody smarter than you has already gone ahead and accumulated, verses and
unless that's you,
plans.
like you're watching this and you make the reading plans.
Good for you.
Good for you. Thank you.
Yes.
But like they've incorporated something new now too that almost looks like an Instagram like story, and like people are like reading a Bible verse and talking about it. So it's like almost like you're like, it's almost like, like when somebody has an addiction, like say like, I don't know, like I don't really want to use a specific thing because I'm not trying to throw shade at anybody, but like I don't know, let's just say you've made a decision that you want to quit smoking, and so you start chewing gum, right? It's almost like this is the chewing gum because it's similar. It's a similar like mental process kind of thing, But I do encourage using a paper Bible. And there's another thing that really changed my perspective. Like we don't have we don't have any kids, but I heard this perspective from a parent, and I thought this was so if you're a parent watching this, I thought this was such a game changer idea. this guy's basically saying that he would always read his Bible on his phone, and his kids would see him in the morning, and that he realized was those kids don't know he's reading the Bible app on the phone. They just see him on the phone, and they don't recognize whether or not like he's like just scrolling Instagram, watching YouTube, checking his emails, or actually engaging the Bible. So they're not seeing, even though this guy was faithfully reading his Bible like every day in front of his kids, you know, to them, they weren't seeing it modeled before them, the importance of the Bible. They saw like the value of the phone.
Yeah.
Right. And so he switched to reading on his paper Bible. Again, there's nothing inherently superior. It's still the same words of God, but they could visually make the connection of the importance because they're watching. I'm going to show you up on the screen the average reading length, like how long it takes to read various books of the Bible. I want you to pull out your screen time if you have an iPhone. I think that Android has something similar and they call it something else. I don't know what it's called, but I want you to pull out your screen time. And if you're watching with us, and look at what your average screen time is, like, you know, how much you spent watching YouTube or how much you spent on Instagram and that kind of thing. And if you've got like, you know, even if you've only had 5 minutes on YouTube, if you look at the chart that I'm showing you on the screen, you can see that there's like several short books of the Bible that you could have read in 5 minutes. And I'm not saying this to guilt trip you. I'm saying this to encourage you and to empower you and show you that you already have the ability to do this very thing. You actually have the time. You just have to swap it out with this one thing. And then here's the books that you could actually read. So I think that's just a really cool way to look at like, oh, I don't have enough time to read this. Well, actually, you could read this entire book in the time it took you to check your email.
Okay, I feel really bad because it says today for my stats, it says I've spent 47 seconds on the Bible app. And the most is Safari, 7 minutes. My mail, have spent 7 minutes. Facebook, I've spent 5 minutes.
Honestly, that's pretty low. That's pretty low. But
goodness.
even in that time that you spent on Facebook, you could have read the book of Jude, for example. And that's not a guilt trip. That's to show people, like, look what you could actually do so easily.